everyone, it's Kristie here from KP Creatives with another video for Two Scrapbook Friends. Today we are going to be making a Thinking of You card. I have some people in my life that could use a little bit of encouragement, so I will take you through the process of how we're going to make this card today. So this is the sketch that we're going for. We're going to be making an A2 landscape card, so that's 5.5 inches across, 4¼ inches tall. We're going to be using a cover plate die, which is going to give us all the cool circles on our card panel. And then I'm going to inlay, die cut inlay a heart on top of that, and then we'll stamp our sentiment. On the heart itself, we're going to be doing some oxide ink blending. So stick with me and we will get to making the project right away. So I've got the list of materials here, and I'll pop this up again at the end of the video so that you can take a screenshot for your reference. And let me just take you through the products that we've got here. So we've got our standard adhesives, our foam tape, Lawn Fawn liquid glue, and some tape runner, and my standard tools, scissors, tweezers, and some blending brushes from Tailored Expressions. I'm going to be using 3 different inks today. So I'm going to stamp the sentiment that we're going to be using in the Hickory Smoke Distress Oxide, and we're going to do a little bit of ink blending on the die cut heart with some Twisted Citron and this delicious new salvaged patina. This will be my first time using this ink, and I am so excited. I absolutely adore this color, and I can't wait to work with it. We're going to be using a sentiment. We'll use this Thinking of You sentiment from this Hero Art set, which is called Hello There. So some really great all-purpose sentiments in this set. And again, we'll use this Thinking of You for our project today. I'm going to be also using the die cut heart from the Gina K Designs Master Layout 4. If you haven't had a chance to check out Gina K's Master Layout series of dies, they're really fantastic, come with a ton of different dies that work together, and they're really great for making sure you're getting great die cuts and great sizing of your card panels. So really great investment to be able to have these on hand. And again, we're going to use this heart with a little bit of stitching on it today. I've then got this super cool pierced circles cutting plate from Tailored Expressions. And this is so neat. So as you can see, this is a die cut cover plate. So it cuts out your card panel and it pierces all of these circles onto your panel. It does not poke holes all the way through. So super cool way to add some interest to your card panels without just having, you know, flat cardstock, white or any other color. You get this really cool design. So we're going to use that as well. I've got a card base cut out of the Nina Solar White Classic Crest in the 110 pound for our Landscape A2 card. So we'll use that to pull everything together. And I'm going to be using my Misty for stamping the sentiment once we get to that part of the program. So I did the die cutting and the cover plate piece off camera, and I just want to show you what it ends up looking like. So when you use this cover plate die from Tailored Expressions, this is what you get. So it cuts out the entire card panel and you get that awesome stitched detail. And I just love this. You could use this for absolutely any card. Birthday, holiday, just, you know, absolutely everything. So a great all-purpose item to have in your collection. And it doesn't pierce all the way through. It's almost like it's embossed it. So what's really neat is that you can take a piece of paper like this that you've already put the pierced die on, and then you can die cut out of it. So that's what I did for this card project. I took the pierced panel, I placed this Gina K heart die right on top in the center, and it's actually really easy to line up because of the pattern of these dots already. I popped a little piece of purple tape, well, not little, I guess a sort of a big piece of purple tape down as that went through my die cut machine. And I was able to get this as a result. So I've saved the inside piece for another project. So that will be, it looks like a heart with this pierced detail. And then I cut another heart using this die out of the Nina Classic Crest Solar White in the 80 pound. So sorry, I don't think I mentioned this panel is the 80 pound cardstock as well from Nina. So this is the piece that we are going to be doing our ink blending on. So let's get these dies out of the way. I should probably put them right back in the package because you know, those dies tend to move around on your craft table and just have a mind of their own. So we are going to be doing a little bit of ink blending with Twisted Citron and Salvaged Patina Distress Oxide. Salvaged Patina is the newest color to the Distress Oxide or the Distress line. I love Distress Oxides, and I think this color is going to become a new favorite. It is so beautiful, and I'm really excited to work with it. So I just want a really simple ink blend here. We're going to start with Twisted Citron, and I kind of just want to start with the Twisted Citron at the bottom and work up to the Salvaged Patina across the rest of the heart. So I'm just going to dab that off a little bit, and let's start by coming in at the bottom here with our Twisted Citron. So Distress Oxides are really great for ink blending. And you know, if you've got dye inks and you've tried ink blending and you struggle a little bit, I really recommend that you try out a couple of colors of the Distress Oxides. Get yourself a blending tool that works for you, whether that's the foam blenders, the new foam domes that they have available from Ranger, or blending brushes, and try that out, because I think the Distress Oxides are so creamy and lovely. I think you'll really notice a difference in how your ink blending goes. So I'm just bringing this Twisted Citron up quite a bit so that I can ensure there's going to be some overlap with the Salvaged Patina. So I think that's high enough for now. And if we want to come back to it later, we can come back and add in a little bit more if we feel like it's needed. So I'm just going to take a baby wipe and just give the mat a little wipe there, because I don't want to get the ink blending brushes contaminated. And we'll just let that dry for a moment while we start to get the Salvaged Patina brush loaded up. And one little trick that I like to use is just to take a piece of used purple tape or Post-it note paper just to cover up the other part that you've just inked up, because otherwise your fingertips will get into it. So this is my first time using this Salvaged Patina, and I gotta tell you, when I saw this color on Tim Holtz's reveal video, oh my goodness, it's so beautiful. And I find with all the colors that he's been releasing in the new Distress line over the past while, you know, I think he says this in his videos, like it's the color that you never knew you needed. Like when you look at the Distress palette, it doesn't appear that there's colors missing necessarily. But oh boy, when you see these new ones, I don't know about you, but I think, oh, must have, add to cart. And, you know, I think some people, what do they call that? Full set syndrome. I've seen that listed on Instagram as a hashtag. So I'm really loving this color. And we're just going to add a little bit more here as we start to get into blending the two together. And we'll see how this shakes out in the end, but I think it's gonna be really lovely. So just one more pass here with that Salvaged Patina, and I think we've got a nice soft blend. Might go in one more time, just across the middle here. If you're new to ink blending, sometimes it takes a little bit more than what you might have initially thought. I'm just gonna go a little bit one more time, and this is the same brush that I used for the Twisted Citron in the beginning. I'm just gonna go over that once more just to soften that blend a little bit. And there we go. So this is the heart that we're going to use on our final card. So subtle blend, but oh, those colors went together so nicely. So we'll put our blending brushes off to the side, wipe things up here, and get ready to start to do the die cut inlay. So just cover these up and move things along. So I am going to get out the card base. So again, this is the Neenah Classic Crest Solo Right in the 110 pound, and we have the same paper, but in the 80 pound that we did the piercing on. So we're going to put this right onto the card base. So you can see that that die cut with the piercing cuts it perfect for your card panels, which is really awesome. So this card, we're going to put some foam tape all along the back of it so that we are popping up this panel. Now there are other ways you can do this. You could use a sheet of, fun foam if you have that in your collection. I'm going to, some might say I'm going a little overboard with the foam tape here, but I want to have a seamless, well, as seamless as possible when we put this die cut in when we do the inlay onto the panel. So it's gonna look like a lot of foam tape here, but I promise you it is going to be worth it in the end. And I'm just noticing that the foam tape is sort of sticking to my media mat. So hopefully, I don't have to pry things off of there afterwards, but I'll try and be gentle, and I think we'll be okay. So again, I realize this looks like a lot, but it's going to pay off because we're going to get a really nice seamless look when we do our inlay with the heart. So I'm just going to peel this off of the media mat. So you can see we've got the foam tape covering the entire back panel, and we've got the open space for the heart. I'm actually going to set this aside right now so that we can do our stamping of the sentiment on top of the heart before we get too far along. I don't want to have to stamp with the sentiment on the whole panel. So again, I'm using this Thinking of You stamp from the Hero Arts Hello There set. Hero Arts has come out with a few sets lately that have a really great die. So this one has a hello there. And then they also have a great set of sentiments with them. So I think it's a really great all-purpose type set of stamps that are really handy to have in your collection. I'm just going to take some purple tape and put that on the back of our heart, and we'll put that in the bottom of our Misty. And I'm going to take this Thinking of You and get it so that it is almost sitting right on top of that blended section of our heart. So I think that's about where I'd like it from a centering point of view. I am going to bring in the T ruler to make sure we are getting this sentiment straight, because as you card makers know, nothing worse than when you've got everything ready on your project and your sentiment ends up being crooked. So that looks great. I'm going to close the door of the Misty, and I can see that that heart wants to go with it. So I'm just going to pop my tweezers in to make sure the heart is staying in the position that we initially wanted it to. So this is a brand new stamp. I've never used it before, so I'm just going to rub my fingers over it just to get some of the residue off that happens in the manufacturing process. You might find when a couple times to be able to get rid of any of that residue. So I'm going to stamp this in the Hickory Smoke Distress Oxide. I love Distress Oxides for stamping. They really create wonderful coverage, and it's really cool that they just blend into the ink that you've already got on your project. So we're just going to give this a little press, not too hard because the letters are fairly thin. Oh, that looks so good. So I'm going to hit this one more time with the ink, just because, again, it's the first time I'm using it. I want to make sure we're getting some good coverage, and I think this will look fantastic. Beauty of the Misty is we don't have to change anything because nothing moved. Our stamp didn't move, our heart didn't move, and we have a perfectly placed thinking of you sentiment. One thing to note is, and I'm not sure if you can see in the light there, but because the Distress Oxides are a fusion of dye and pigment inks, they take a little bit longer to dry than your traditional dye inks. So if you are in a hurry, you could always hit this really quickly with your heat tool and just dry that up. I can tell just in the time I've been chatting here, it's already drying a little bit, but if you do need to, you know, if someone's downstairs waiting for their birthday card, well, you might want to just hit that with your heat tool so that you can get on with the project and get on with the cake. So we are going to move the Misty out of the way as we move forward with our last pieces of assembly here. So I'm bringing back our pierced panel, and we are going to set this right into the shape that we cut. And that looks great. So this is actually flat. It looks like it's one layer, but by die cutting that heart out, so we get that complete flush look on the panel of our card, which I think is pretty cool. So I really like that. If you didn't want to die cut this out, you could have always just popped up the heart on the panel overall. That would be completely fine. But this is one way to add a little bit of interest by having it completely flat, which I think is fun. So I'm just going to bring in the card base, and we're going to start putting this together as the final stages here. So we're going to take the release tape off of our panel. Sometimes the release tape just wants to stay on there a little bit longer. Just got to work with it a little bit. And I'm also going to be putting on some Lawn Fawn liquid glue. And if you've watched some of the other videos, you've heard me say that what the Lawn Fawn liquid glue does is gives you a little bit of wiggle room and playtime to move whatever you are adhering onto your final project. And I really like that because if you don't, especially with things that are really sticky, like this foam tape, you want to be able to give yourself some time because, you know, at this point in time, you're almost ready with the final project and you want to be able to have, you know, success at the end. You don't want to have to peel something off and then you're stuck with it. So I'm bringing back the Misty because it is going to help us get perfect placement onto our card base. So I'm putting the card base right into the corner of the Misty. Going to take our panel, and I know that because these are the same size, I can put this right tight to the corner, and I'm going to get a great placement onto my card base. So there's a few different ways you could do this. If you don't have a Misty, you can also do this with your Score Buddy tool. Kathy Zilski and Simon Hurley, I think they both have videos on, you know, quick tips for card makers, and this is one that they both reference of having this in using your Misty for this or your Score Buddy tool. And there we have it. That is our finished card for today. So I think that pierced background gives us a really nice amount of detail. We've got the ink blending using that new salvaged patina, which is a great, fantastic color, adding to the distress line from Tim Holtz, and the stamp from Hero Arts. So I hope that you found this video helpful. Hopefully you could see how to use the piercing die and doing some fun ink blending and die cut inlay. So please take a moment and subscribe to the Two Scrapbook Friends YouTube channel. And if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you have any comments, we'll be happy to respond. Thanks.